Hi everyone, Third Eye 88 here. Going to do another mock review, this time of the Innenrrad. I know there is a little confusion about how that's pronounced, but it is pronounced with a long I, so Innenrrad. Anywho, let's get right into the mock. The first feature I'd like to show off is the kickstand. Then over here, we've got the little lever that doesn't actually do anything, it's just for aesthetic reasons, but it's a nice little feature nonetheless. So it just flips up, and then on this end, when it's up, that would go down, and then when that's up, that would go down. You know, since it's not exactly a regular motorcycle where the rider could just like kick the kickstand down, so you know, I figured there'd need to be a way around that, so I added a little tiny lever just for coolness, for an extra realistic feature. The next feature would probably be the suspension, or not the suspension, the steering. My bad. You know, it's got real functioning steering where you turn the handlebars and the front wheel turns. Then the next feature is suspension. Rear suspension and front suspension as well. But the front suspension is just a little, flimsy, I guess. The front end needs work. You know, there's no such thing as perfection. So there's some things that might have to be ironed out in a version 2 somewhere down the line. And front suspension and more stable steering and stabler front end would be one of them. So suspension, steering, and then the next feature, and in my opinion it's the most realistic feature because, you know, not even, you know, I haven't even seen some of Lego's Technic sets incorporate this into their sets, but it's got the adjustable seat. Push back to here. If you want to move the seat forward, like say for a Hero Factory, and I think it's just a little too short for Motoren. I think, you know, the idea was that Motoren and Toys could drive this thing, but I think it's just a little too big for Motoren because it was just a bit too big for the Hero Factory 2.0, and they're just a tad bit bigger than, I'd say, your standard Agori or late Bionicle Motoren. And so, let's move that back. It's not exactly the easiest thing to adjust as a, you know, from, you know, for me adjusting the seat, but the idea is that, you know, in a real car or, you know, vehicle, your seat adjustments are either on the side of the seat or below it, and that's where the idea behind sticking it there and having it work that way came from. Then here's the back end. Show that off real quick. And the wheels do roll. You need to apply a little pressure on the front end to get the front wheel to roll, but the back rolls pretty good. There's this here, which I'm thinking might be a gas tank or something. There wasn't really any conceptual idea behind that. It was more based off aesthetics more than anything. It's just an added feature, I guess. And so there's that. Then the most notable feature on the Innenrrad would of course be the extendable cannon arms. So when the Furno blasters, or Furno blades, or whatever you want to call them, aren't enough as, you know, the primary, I suppose you could say, ammo-less weapon, the cannon arms open up and can fire, and as long as the wheel is straight, they do fire without being obstructed by anything, so long as the wheel is straight. Otherwise it will probably run into the wheel, which could be bad. Don't want to blow off your own front wheel. That wouldn't be very smart. So, and then of course they, you know, opposite way to make it retract back into its, I guess you could say, its standard form. But what I really like about how I designed this is when it is open, the way the middle section kind of curves up in here. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like an old roadster, an old American muscle car type roadster. I don't know, it's just like, I think it's more the shape and how it flanges out and then curves up, and then you've got the middle section here. It looks very roadster-ish to me, with the intake and, you know, just everything going on there. So, you know, I really like how it kind of looks like a roadster, but it's a motorcycle at the same time. It's like a blend of a car and a motorcycle into one thing, or it's a hybrid of the two. You know, the rider rides in it like a car, but handles it, you know, like steering, handles with steering, you know, with handlebars like a motorcycle, and, you know, of course it's got two wheels. So that's pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool to make a car version of this, or a car using the Hellfire Droid wheels, but, you know, it costed me $30 just to get the incomplete Hellfire Droid set that I did get to build this. So getting an additional 4 Hellfire Droid wheels would be rather pricey, and, you know, I'm not really up to that right now. Maybe sometime down the line, when finances aren't such an issue, might be something to consider. But it's definitely down the road. So, one last little feature I'd like to, two actually, I'd like to point out is the headlights. That's what these are. I know they kind of look like guns or whatever, but no, they're not, because there's this piece here that's supposed to, like, round it off, and yeah, those are supposed to be like high intensity headlights for, like, when it's driving out in the wilderness and there's nothing around for miles and no light source. You know, it's supposed to illuminate the area very far ahead of the Innenrrad. Then the other feature that I wanted to point out was the eye badges, or the logo, I guess you could say. I took Hero Factory 1.0 quasi cores in trans green and flipped them sideways, and now the H has become an I for Innenrrad. So that's like when a car or motorcycle, or pretty much any vehicle manufacturer puts the badges or emblems on the vehicle. I thought that was just that extra, you know, just an extra little realistic detail to bring even more realism to this MOC. And realism, while being surreal, is what I was aiming for. And I think I definitely achieved that with all the different features, especially the adjustable seat. That's definitely the biggest one, to bring a sense of realism to this very surreal MOC. Yes, I did want to show off the bottom, because I never did pictures of the bottom of this in any of the detail spreads. So there's the bottom. You'll see that there's a lot more brown in more of the structural elements of the MOC, and you know, that's where a lot of the brown in this thing exists. But I tried to present enough of it in the aesthetic elements to make it a core part of the color scheme. This is Third Eye 88 once again, and you know, thank you for comments, faves, watches, feedback, you know, all of that good stuff. You know, thanks for being good followers, and I appreciate it all. So see you around on DeviantArt. Talk to you guys later. Bye.